When you go home, tell them of us and say, for their tomorrow we gave our today. Welcome to this Remembrance Day Assembly for Washington Academy. Remembrance Day or Armistice Day is held on the 11th day of the 11th month, with a 2-minute silence being held at 11 a.m, the exact moment that the First World War ended. On this day we remember all those who have passed away in the line of duty, alongside all of those who served for our country. The symbol of remembrance is the poppy, and this is because the poppy was the first thing to grow on the battlefield. There are 4 different coloured poppies which commemorate different areas of remembrance. The British Legion, which is the red poppy, remembers all lives lost in all conflicts around the world. World War I, World War II, and also current conflicts. The black poppy is the commemoration of Black, African and Caribbean communities who are often regularly forgotten. The purple poppy is in commemoration of animals who were killed in the line of duty during conflict. The white poppy remembers those who have been lost due to war, but promotes peace in the future. During World War I, 886,000 British people were killed in the line of duty. During World War II, 450,000 British people were killed, and around 70 to 80 million people around the world lost their lives. Since the end of World War II, conflict has continued around the world. 7,187 servicemen and women have lost their lives to conflict. To be able to understand the impact of the 2 world wars, it's always best to hear from those who survived it. In 2017, Miss Williamson was given the opportunity to interview a number of veterans for a War Gen oral history project. First up, we will hear from Edith Hunter, who was part of the Women's Auxiliary Air Force.
Well, I was Edith Gray then, but I'm Edith Hunter now. 30th of the 3rd, 1921.
Do you remember the build-up and the outbreak of war?
Yes. Yeah, because where the aerodrome was near us, where Nissen is now, that was us with the aerodrome. And we just got to know the lads there before I joined up, my friend and I.
Mm-hmm. And when did you join up?
42.
Mm-hmm. And did you get a choice in who you joined with? Or were you
You had a choice, but it just depended where you were wanted. People put in for things, they might put them into the Air Force, but they put in the Army. Or the Navy, just where, like on our base at Kinloss, we had 300 women and 900 men.
Was there any tragic incidents happened where you were stationed?
Oh yes, I mean, yeah. Well, you see, planes had to get rid of, if they came back with any ammunition, sometimes I was had torpedoes because we did the ships, and bombs and that. They had to jettison before they came in, you see. And this is quite a 2, not where I was, but one did at Sillith. And of course it burst into flames, but you see, one of our girls, she dragged him out and then lay on the top of him, you see. Now they got the George Medal and things like that, you know. There's quite a few like that. Well, like one of the, Jack Davenport, he was the wing commander of 455 Squadron.
Next up, we hear from Dennis Collier, who served in the 156th Parachute Battalion.
So if you could tell me your full name, your service number and who you served with.
5734402, my service number. It was a Dorset Regiment number. I was in the Dorsets, that was. And then I joined the Paras in 1941, very early. I was one of the first 1,000 to be in the Paras.
Can you remember the build-up to war?
The build-up to war? Yeah, I can.
Yeah, what was
I was in Home Guard. Walking around the field with a shotgun.
Mm-hmm. And what was it like being in the Home Guard?
It was all right, we had good fun. Yeah, we had good fun. It was Because there are lots of older men than me, a lot of them, I mean, I was only young, but a lot of old soldiers for the First World War all in it, and some of them were walking about with sticks and all sorts of things, but I'd got my own shotgun.
Did you volunteer, or were you conscripted?
But I volunteered.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, my dad was in the First World War, and I gave him the wrong age, to tell you the truth. And my dad tried to get me back because he was, sorry, my eyes running. He was in a bottle of Somme, and you know what he went through, and he didn't want me to go through it, and he tried to get me to stop me, and I said, no, I'm stopping in now, Dad. And I stopped in.
What battles were you involved in?
I was at D-Day, Battle of Arnhem, and Palestine.
Were you ever wounded?
Yeah, I got shrapnel there, you can see that there, and all little pitted all up my arms. You can't see them at the moment, but when my skin's light, you can see the little scars up here on little bits of shrapnel, that's all.
And what was it like being treated medically in the field?
Pardon?
What was it like being treated medically in the field, in action?
That was quite good actually. We got some good medics, but we got nothing in prisoner of war camps. You got nothing. If you took ill, you died. That was always us to it because we got no medicines and nothing.
Can you tell me a little bit about D-Day?
About
D-Day.
D-Day. Well, we dropped at Caen at D-Day because we were 156 independent. They could pick us out and take us anywhere. I mean, we shouldn't have been at Arnhem really, 156 should at Caen really, because we were 156 independent, but I think they were a bit short and took our battalion.
What happened towards the end of Arnhem?
Oh, we got took prisoner. We got took prisoner about 2 or 3 hours after that. It was all over.
Which prisoner of war camp did you go to?
Oh, I went to 3 or 4 camps. 12A, 11B. I forget the number one again, Dusseldorf. That's where we went from there to when we travelled 5 days in the truck down to Sudetenland on forced labour. I got a tin of sauerkraut a day. That was all you got. I come home 7 stone 3.
Do you often think back to the war?
Many a time. Sometimes I lie in bed for hours thinking, you know, what I'd done and what I hadn't done, and all little things. You might be sitting here and someone will just jump back to you. What I'd done in the army and some things I should have done. And
Finally, we hear from Gerald Martin, who was a child during World War II.
My name is Gerald Martin. I was born in Scotland in 1930, which makes me just coming up to 87.
Can you remember the build-up to war?
I was at a boarding school outside Edinburgh, and in the summer holiday we went to my grandfather's in Inverness, and there we went to church, which we usually did, and there we heard that war had been declared. And from my point of view, that was the first thing I understood or began, because I was only 9, and I began to understand what war was. So that was the beginning of it. And then when I went back to school outside Edinburgh, I remember distinctly that we had a Heinkel aeroplane, German, flying very low over the school, having previously dropped a bomb in the Forth Bridge, which didn't hit the Forth Bridge. And at the same time, my father went to hospitals outside Edinburgh to work, and he had a bomb dropped just behind his car from another. That's the only wartime that I knew really in Scotland.
What was it like moving over to America?
When I went to America,
What was it like, sort of, as a child, the changes you saw from life in Scotland to...
We were very lucky in that we weren't evacuated to America. We went out with a lot of other evacuees, but in fact we were going to visit a great aunt of mine, so that made our entrance into America a lot more easy.
So, I know you mentioned Pearl Harbor. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
First of all, in retrospect, everyone who had anything to do with the services had been told time and time again that war was likely to become, and that Japan was likely to attack. But nobody paid any interest whatsoever. On the morning of the Sunday, I was at my aunt's house, and she had a flat place on the roof that I used to go out and sit on. And sitting on the roof, I saw one plane, just one airplane, and it was dropping what I thought must be flower bombs. You know, just dropping a big thing down on Honolulu. And I ran in and said to my aunt, you know, there's a plane out there dropping. And she said, oh, nonsense. And because we lived up a valley near Honolulu, we didn't really hear or see what was going on in Pearl Harbor. But later that morning, Sunday morning, I bicycled down into Honolulu to meet my friends there. And then we saw all the flames, we saw the fire in the distance. And I've actually got a paper that I bought in Honolulu at that time, which says war has been declared. And we cycled out to a friend of mine who lived in the hills above Pearl Harbor. And we saw the whole of Pearl Harbor on fire. We saw all the sinking ships. We saw through the binoculars looking down on the harbour. It was just terrible. And I was only 11, but I was old enough and had enough experience, particularly having travelled, to realise that this was more than frightening, this was just terrible.
What was the feeling when war ended?
We marched, my school marched, we had cadets, a cadet body at school, and we marched through Musselburgh, which is just outside Edinburgh, with our bagpipes playing, and it was great fun.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow.
Between the crosses, row on row,
that mark our place, and in the sky,
the larks, still bravely singing, fly.
scarce heard amid the guns below.
We are the dead, short days ago.
We lived without dawn until sunset glow.
Loved and well loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields.
Take up our quarrel with the foe.
to you from failing hands we throw.
The torch be yours to hold it high.
If ye break faith with us who die,
we shall not sleep though poppies grow. In Flanders fields.
In Flanders fields.
The poppies blow.